guys, it's Sam, and since it's halfway through the year, I wanted to do a mid-year check-in on my reading goals for this year. So this is going to be short and sweet and for people who prefer more numbers and tailored to me type things, and then I'm also going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag on another day, so if you want more of those kinds of questions, you will get that. But I love goal check-in content, which is why I wanted to do two different videos that are kind of talking about the middle of the year. It also keeps me motivated because it keeps me checking up on things. I use a spreadsheet, which I talked about in my setting of the goals this year. So I use a spreadsheet and I'm able each month to kind of see how things are going. So I kind of knew some of this stuff anyway, but I want to talk to you guys about it as well. So my reading goal this year was to read 52 books, and I am currently at 32 books read. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to hit this. At this point, my spreadsheet is saying I'm probably going to get close to 70 books if I keep reading at my current pace. And I've been reading more in current months than I was at the beginning of the year, so I think that I might be able to achieve that, although the books left in my TBR, which I've been talking about a lot recently, a lot of them are very large. So I'm getting down to the point where, like, I'm not going to be reading as many books, but I'm going to be reading a ton of pages each month. So we'll see how that all kind of falls in the end. Of the books I've read so far this year, 63% have been fantasy and 25% have been science fiction. So, and then there's been a couple other smatterings in there, a couple contemporary reads, but staying true to myself. 65% of all of the books that I've read have been between 300 and 500 pages. As far as my TBR goal, which is the very big goal for the year, I started out the year with 65 books in my TBR. I have read 32, which is excellent, but I've also brought in books. So I've also brought in 18 books, a significant chunk of those most recently in my June haul, but all of those were great and excellent and wonderful. So at this point, I have slightly more of a TBR than I would like. So with the June editions, I have 50 books on my TBR. Not great. But if I continue the same kind of proportion, then at the end of the year, I'll have approximately 35 books on the TBR, which isn't awful. I would have liked to get it to like 25, 20, but yeah, so we'll see. I also just kind of want to like start churning through things, and I'm thinking that I might, if I start getting books at the end of the year, I might not even include those on my TBR because they'll be books that I'll read, you know, beginning of next year, but I would just put those in a completely separate area. I'm not even including those yet to this, just to kind of read these books and get them off my shelves so that I'm just reading a lot of the books that come in within the first 6 months of getting them, etc. So that's that for the reading goals portion. I also briefly want to talk about my first half of the year TBR. That's where I pick 5 books for the first half of the year and 5 books for the last half of the year that I really want to prioritize. Now granted, this year is a little funky because I'm obviously trying to get all of my TBR down, but these are books that I like for sure want to read within this time period regardless and not have them left over. So this didn't go as well as it has in previous years. Usually I like really do get all these books down, but for this year I've discovered some things about the TBR that I did pick. So a lot of the books that I didn't read for my TBR from the first half of the year, the few that are left over, I'm reading actually this month, but let's get into what that's all about. So one of the books was Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett, which I did read and loved. The second book was The Trader Brew Cormorant by Seth Dickinson, which I read and didn't like as much as I was hoping I would, and I'm probably not going to continue with the series. The third book was The Swan Gondola by Timothy Shafert, which I ended up unhauling in a recent TBR unhaul. And then there's The River of No Return by B. Ridgway, which I haven't read yet but is on this month's TBR, as well as The Stolen Songbird by Danielle Jensen, which is also on my TBR for this month. So I'm planning on getting those read in July. Now for my second half of the year TBR, I also picked out some things. So for my second half of the year TBR, we have 12 Kings by Bradley Baleo. I need to read this fucking book. And that's me being mad at myself because I know I'm going to love it, and it's a book I've been putting off because I know I'm going to love it and I want to be in the perfect mood for it because I want to love it and I know I'm going to love it, and etc, etc. I think I had this on last year's TBR goal. Like I don't know what it is because I look at it and I'm like, ooh, I want to read you. And it's like, why don't you read it then? So I'm planning on this for, I think, like a tome topple coming up or something. Like I need to do it. Second book is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I almost didn't include this because I almost felt like it wasn't fair. Like, of course I'm going to read that within the next 6 months, but I also decided to give myself an easy one. Like, of course you're going to read that, especially because I'm playing catch up from the beginning half of the year with the TBR. So I was always going to read this even without the challenge, but this is one that's like a for sure guaranteed read. Then we have The Devouring Gray by Christine Lynn Herman. This is one that I'm really looking forward to probably for the fall. It has vibes like the Covenant movie, which is the best and worst movie of all time. So I'm very excited. Also Magical Woods, boarding school, I believe, things like that. So I am very, very hyped for this one and definitely plan on reading it in a more spoopy month. Then the most intimidating book on this list is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I have been wanting to read this for so long. I actually originally started it back in 2015, right as I got sick. So I stopped and didn't pick it back up during that time of strife and upheaval in my life. So now it's time to get back to it. I still want to read this book. And I was reminded of this because in The Starless Sea, there's mention of one of Donna Tartt's other books. So I was like, I need to read this book. It's so heavy. It's been on my shelf for so long. It's a Pulitzer Prize winner. I want to read it. I need to. Another Tome Topple. I feel like the text is so small. I think, yeah, it's hefty. I'm so intimidated by this book, and it's like, you need to read this. This cannot be a book that's left over at the end of the year for next year. You need to read it now. So soon, hopefully. Probably Tome Topple, because I like to use it for motivation just like you guys do. And the last book on my end of the year TBR is The Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. I loved The Enchantment of Ravens. I've been really looking forward to this book. Also a very fall read. I basically picked a lot of books that I felt like were going to be fall books for me because I just really plan on getting a lot of reading done this fall, I guess. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one as well. This is a standalone YA fae story, and our main character is a foundling, and she works, lives, resides in this magical library in this fantasy world. So very excited for this as well. So those books, along with The River of No Return by B. Ridgway and Stolen Songbird by Daniel Jensen, are going to be on my end of the year TBR, even though these two are going to get read this month in July. So that is it for my mid-year reading goals check-in. Comment down below, let me know how your goals are going. How many books do you have read? If you think you're going to reach your goals, if you do any kind of thing like I do with a little miniature TBR to really motivate you to get those books read, comment down below and let me know. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all of you guys soon. Bye.